Representing the 31 to 53 foot class in the center console category, the Bluewater 355E has an overall length of 35 feet 9 inches, a beam of 10 feet, and a max horsepower rating of 900. Built to handle offshore conditions with ease, she has a draft of 24 inches, a dead rise of 24 degrees, a dry weight of 8,640 pounds, and a fuel capacity of 390 gallons. Now, let's hear more from our hosts, George Labonte and Rick Riles.
Partner, we're standing here on this beautiful 355 Bluewater underneath the shade of a coconut palm and the sea grapes on this deserted beach. And what's wrong with this picture?
It doesn't feel right. This boat is supposed to be out that way.
It's begging us to go out that way.
They don't call it the Bluewater 355 for nothing. First thing I noticed when I stepped on board, great big cockpit because the console is a little further forward than normal.
Yeah, and you know what, we think about a boat like this, 360 fishability is important. It's one of the great assets of a boat like that. You know, if you're drifting with a kite, doing that kind of stuff, South Florida style fishing, that works great. But this boat is set up without riggers and a hard top, and you know, frankly, it's set up to troll too, and you don't troll from up here. It makes a bigger cockpit for that application. Great idea.
George, you and I have looked at a lot of boats, and the more boats we look at, the more you start to appreciate certain things. The minute I stepped on this boat, okay, you see the kind of stuff that you would see on an ocean-going yacht.
Absolutely. I noticed those blind fasteners right off the bat myself too, and that's just details that you can easily take from the yacht world and bring it into the recreational fishing boat world. They've done it on this boat. Hey, listen, before we get too wound up talking about all the features, why don't we just get into this walkthrough and, you know, take a look at them right here. We'll start that right here on the bow.
First off, this boat's really going to appeal to the serious fisherman who's been in the sport for a while, okay?
There's so much storage on this boat. All right, there's, for starters, this giant hatch in the center. This is an expedition-sized fish box. I mean, we could both get inside of this thing. It's deep all the way to the bottom. You've got two really big boxes on each side, and there's a giant storage box in the center right here. Now, you're first saying, why do I need so many fish boxes? They're all insulated. I mean, when am I ever gonna have 5,000 pounds of fish on the boat? Well, they don't have to be a fish box. I mean, it's also dry storage. I mean, you've got a place to put gear, and each of these boxes are so big, you can stow all of your gear below the deck and have a nice clean boat to ride in while you're going across. Hey, why don't we move back to the middle of the boat and take a look at this console? All right, amigo, pull up some shade and tell me what you love about this console.
I believe I will. I tell you the first thing I noticed, George. You notice how Paul Skilowitz has made each one of these rails into steps? There's a high probability of somebody putting a second station on this boat. It just screams for it. The console itself to me is so well laid out. Have you been in the inside in there?
I have, you know what? And you pointed out something interesting, and we're gonna get to that in a second. You know, one of the things I notice about it, and I like room to work on stuff, there's about 6.5 feet of headroom in there. You know, stand up, plenty of room, but it's finished nicely. I mean, you got nice Corian countertop in the sink, you know, in the head, obviously. What I like is you've got a beautiful stand-up access to all your electronics right here, real easy to work on, all those systems, and your batteries. There's 4 1700 amp Odyssey batteries, which are very expensive. That's high-tense batteries. Those 4 Odysseys are standard equipment with this boat, and they're right there in front of you, easy to pull in and out of there or to maintain. Very cool. In the helm station, we've got drawers on both sides and Plano boxes, a dozen Plano boxes in the back. Put a bunch of tackle in there, and of course, cup holders and rod holders going across the back here. Very well laid out. Why don't we move back into this oversized cockpit we keep talking about? Follow me.
Cap, I gotta tell you, before we get too far away from this helm station, everything about this boat screams multi-day to me. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
12 Plano trays, drawers, leader spools, everything you need, because if you go to the Bahamas, nobody ever goes to the Bahamas and said, well, I'm just gonna do this kind of fishing. And speaking of multi-day trips, how about a 90 and a 60 gallon live well?
For a long trip over there where you got to carry a bunch of baits to go yellowfin fishing in the channel, you can sink the boat with baits right there, okay? And the 60 here, which you can get as 230s if you want as well. 2 more really big fish boxes right here. Again, as big as you'd ever need one of them. 2 more boxes here, 2 more back here, and then a giant bilge access right here in the center that goes all the way back to here. Real easy to get in there and work on all your bilge systems.
Cap, I tell you all the time that I feel like this is the future of sport fishing, okay? This cockpit, you realize it's almost exactly the same size as the 35 Cabos that you and I used to run.
Yeah.
All right, you got all the room you ever need, except now, look at the horsepower and the speeds you've got. This is where big game fishing is going, if you will. And this boat to me screams big game. I can see this boat yellowfin tuna fishing, blue marlin fishing, you name it, it can do it.